Good Wednesday morning, friends, or afternoon, or evening, or middle of the night, or whenever you happen to be joining together with me. This is a time in the middle of the week I have come to cherish. Our time together simply to pause, to take a deep breath, to put down whatever else is swirling in our world, and to simply ask ourselves, where is God moving and working? Where are we sensing God's presence? For those that I don't know, I'm Reverend Jennifer Finley, our Momentum and Discipleship Pastor here at First United Methodist Church in Kirksville. And I'm not sure where you are. If you are in Kirksville, we're kind of between March winter storms, and depending on whether you like snow or not, you might be having a wonderful day or a little crabby about the weather. But wherever today is brought you, I am so glad that you are joining with me. Because this is indeed the time when we say, where is God meeting us? How is God moving in our world? And since last week, where have we seen God at work? Now, last Wednesday was Ash Wednesday. It was the start of our Lenten journey together. And as I reflected today on where God has shown up for me in this last week, as we have started our Lenten journeys together, I realized that I've seen God in so many of you. I was thinking about last Wednesday, as many of you came during the noon hour to receive ashes, and as many gathered physically in this space for Ash Wednesday service, and as so many of the rest of you gathered online as well. And I realized that one of the things where God really showed up to me is in the tangible, the touch of marking crosses on foreheads or hands, the eye contact. I'll admit that in early COVID, which seems like a very long time ago now, it was 2 years ago, in early COVID, one of the things I missed most desperately was the physical contact of people I love, the looking into the eyes, the touch of hands that happens in communion or in something like Ash Wednesday. The beautiful moments. God showed up for me at last Ash Wednesday in those. But God also showed up for me in the ways in which our community has gathered and continues to gather online, and how we're bridging those two of those touch experiences in person, but also the ways in which God is moving and working in our midst online. For me, at least, God is showing up in each of you this Lent and touching my heart and my soul. God is showing up as God always does. Which is why a line of a poem from some of our Lent resources caught my attention this week. It's a poem that starts off with, "You've been here before." And that caught my attention because we've been here before, right? We have been in Lent before. We come to Lent every year, and every year is a little bit different because we are different people. Every year, circumstances are different, but we've been here before. And specifically, I'm wondering if you're anything like me, perhaps you've been thinking about the ways in which we have been here in Lent before. Lent 2020 seems like a long time ago, but we've been here before. And in some respects, as we've talked about Jesus, starting our Lenten journey with Jesus in the wilderness, as we talked about on Sunday during worship, for some of us, it may feel like we've been in the wilderness for at least 2 years. We've been there before. For others of us, we might be remembering what was happening 2 years ago because we've been here before. For others of us, at least I know myself, I've been thinking about the ways in which spring comes, even in the midst of winter. And we've been there before too, with that sense of hope and looking forward to the future. And even simply thinking about where we are with COVID. We've been here before, this place where it finally feels like we know that it's not over yet. We know there are still vulnerable folks we need to protect. Maybe even we ourselves are in that group, or those we love, our kids under 5. We know we're not quite done yet, and yet there is hope on the horizon. We've been there before. I was thinking about the fact that this time last year, as we were in a Lenten season and heading towards Easter, many of us at least were catching that hope as vaccines rolled out and as we were starting to get vaccinated. I remember that sense of hope walking out after I got my vaccine thinking, okay, I can take a deep breath, right? I know many of you had that same sense. And then, of course, we've lived perhaps what feels like desert wanderings and the interceding months as we've ridden the ups and downs of COVID times. We've been here before. We've known that sense of hope, and we've also known that sense of wilderness. We've been there before, each of us individually perhaps, and each of us collectively perhaps. And so I'm wondering, as we start this Lenten journey together, where are you? You've been here before. Are you in the wilderness where there's little glimmers of hope, but it still feels like wilderness wanderings? Because we know growth happens and hope happens even in the midst of those. Are you where you've been before as you're kind of moving into seasons of excitement and life and vitality? Are you someplace in the messy middle? I'm going to read the rest of this poem to you. It's the first line that caught my attention, but this is a beautiful poem by Reverend Sarah Speed. It's called From Here in the Sand. You've been here before. I squeeze that truth like an orange in my hands, willing some form of comfort to run out. Roll down my wrist, calm my aching nerves. You've been here before, in the wilderness, in the desert, in the place where nothing is what it seems and everything is sharp. You've been here before, so surely you know how hard it is to hold tight to what is real in the middle of a storm. But because you've been here before, I will stand tall. I will sing songs of the river from here in the sand. I will sing songs of the river into the wind. We've been here before. We've been on the cusp of hope before, only to have that dashed. We've also been on the cusp of hope before, and then everything blossoms into beauty and spring and hope and joy. We've been here before. We've been in the sands of the wilderness, wondering what is up ahead, longing for God's presence. All of those things are true. We have been here before, and God has been with us in those moments and in these. Because we've been here before, we can stand tall. We can sing songs of the river of God's love and God's grace from here in the sand, whatever that is for you. We can sing songs of the river of God's love and grace into the wind. Friends, my hope and my prayer is that wherever you find yourself in this particular Lent, that you know that God is standing with us. And for those that it's just enough to be able to stand, even just stand in the sand, know that there are others surrounding you who are singing songs of God's love and grace when you cannot. And if you are in the place where love and excitement and hope are blossoming, celebrate that from within the sand. Help others sing their song. Friends, it is a joy to be on this Lenten journey with you. And my prayer for us is that wherever we are today, we know, intimately know that God has been here with us before, and God is right here with us in the complicated, messy, amazing, joyful, hard times we are in. Go into the rest of this week knowing that God dwells with us, and we can sing that beautiful song of God's grace wherever we are. Go in peace. Amen.